for a lot of realtors who are great at working with clients, right? That are great at transactions, that nail the open house, that nail all of the steps necessary to get a house sold. They win there, and then they move on to the next transaction, and we miss that organizational piece. So what we do, we're the easy button for realtors who want to get their database organized and then communicate with those folks in a systematic way.
All righty, welcome back to Are You Winning? This is Coach Craig Zuber, and I'm here with Philip Alderfer. Philip is a MAPS coach, and he's also the owner of Powered by Cloud. Philip is, he's just an amazing guy out of Anchorage, Alaska. I'm so excited to be able to interview him today. He's been in this industry for 21 years. He's got tons of experience, massively passionate about database. Actually, he's built a company around helping people win with their database and doing some of the things that they probably should be doing over and over, right, Philip? That you decided, hey, maybe we could just make their life a little bit easier. Anything I missed 100%. There, Philip?
Yeah, no, you got it. Absolutely. It's I kept seeing the same problems, the same challenges that I had when I was in production at a higher level, and then with the clients, that I coach. Kept seeing the same thing come up over and over and over again. Looked around and realized there wasn't a good solution to it, so we had to start one.
Great. So why don't we just jump in there? So that's probably what you're winning at most, is focusing on helping people build their databases, right? And or extract business from relationships.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
Walk us through it. What exactly do you do?
Okay, so in very simple terms, we know everybody reads the books. Doesn't matter which book you read, but it starts with the MREA, right? Gary says very clearly, the first thing you got to do is build a database. Then the second thing you have to do is communicate with it every day. And we see so many realtors, so many real estate teams, so many real estate businesses get into production. They have some initial moment of success, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And then one day they all look up and they say, oh, crap, why didn't now I need my database again. Now I've gone through the first round of transactions with everybody, and now they've got names spread across their phone. They got, pieces of sticky notes in the back of the car. They got the open house sign-in lists. We gather all this information, but then we don't actually turn it into a tool that we can use over and over again. So the first thing we do is folks consolidate their database, get it into one spot. Second thing you got to do is get it organized so that you can use it as a tool, right? As a data bank. But if you've just got a bag full of names, you're not going to open it up and have something you can work with, right? So you got to get everything into one spot. You got to get all those names organized. You got to get them scrubbed, cleaned up. Then you got to put them into some sort of structure. We use Command, some sort of CRM, doesn't matter what it is, but you got to get them into some structure, and then you got to communicate with those people systematically. And for a lot of realtors who are great at working with clients, right, that are great at transactions, that nail the open house, that nail all of the steps necessary to get a house sold, they win there, and then they move on to the next transaction, and we miss that organizational piece. So what we do, we're the easy button for realtors who want to get their database organized and then communicate with those folks in a systematic way.
Hey there, I'm Jeremy Herman, CEO and co-founder of ClarityNOW. Listening to this podcast means that you're committed to your career and to growing your business. You're the reason why we created ClarityNOW. You see, ClarityNOW is the real estate software designed to transform real estate agents into business owners. Now, being a great real estate agent is an entirely different skill set than being a great business owner. That's where ClarityNOW can help. ClarityNOW is powerful because some of the industry's top real estate coaches built it. We know what insights as coaches top performers need to grow their business. So, do you have a business plan based on your net profit goals? Do you know how you're performing against your quarterly goals? Do you generate a P&L each month? Do you have the best tools to help your team members hit their goals? Are you managing your company's pipeline and conversion reports? Do you have the data that you need at your fingertips to run a successful business? ClarityNOW can solve all these problems Visit us at www.claritynowre.com and schedule a personalized tour to learn more. Mention this ad and we'll throw in 1 month for free. Congratulations on your success, and let's take your business to the next level together.
So first step is I got all these names, I got all this information, but it's not organized. So what exactly do you do to help them get that organized?
It starts with Zuber. It starts with some of the very simplest things you can imagine. Have a consistent email address. Do you have email addresses? Do you have phone numbers? And if you have some of those, like we see this all the time. Well, people will have a name in their phone. They've got a contact record in there, maybe their MLS form, their wherever they write contracts, and they've got an email in their Gmail account, but they don't actually have the name and the phone number and the email address put in one spot, right? So when Gary says, or they get with a coach, they get with one of us, and our coach says, "Hey, did you call your people today?" So, well, I got some emails, and I don't actually know who to call, and I don't have everybody's. They don't have the tools at their fingertips to do the job, to do the thing we ask them to do, which is pick up the phone and have conversations with their people. So the first thing we have to do is get all of their names into one spot. I mean, that's literally just like it's as simple as that. Get your name and your email address and your phone number to get, connected with a client so that you can then communicate with them systematically. And then when we say systematically, that's the next piece, right? The next piece is, do you have some tools working in the background? Email, text message, are you delivering something that's valuable, something that's fun, something that's informative, something that's reminding them that you're around, so that when you do pick up the phone, and whether you do it or we do it for you, because we do that, right? When you do pick up the phone, there's been some background communication which keeps you on their radar, and then the conversation is easy because they say, "Oh yes, I've been getting your email address, I've been getting your newsletter, I saw the things you've sent." So now they're connected. Now you've got there's some brand familiarity that's happened in the background, so that the phone call can be more impactful. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but it really is just as simple as getting all of that information that we carry around in different places into one spot, so that you can use it to build better relationships with your people.
So let's just talk about getting the names and getting them organized. I know it's different for everyone, but number one is, how long does it usually take on average for them to get all the names and contact information into one spot? And then number two, it's what actually prevents them from doing this in the first place?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So for most of the clients that we work with, we find that we're dealing with databases that are somewhere between 1,500 and 5,000 people in size, right? And usually we end up with 3,500 names from 4 basic sources, right? Number one is wherever they've been writing contracts, so whatever the MLS, WolfNet, whatever that stuff is. So they've got some contact information there, right? The second source is whatever they've been using for email, whether it's Gmail account or Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever. You got contact information there. Third source is their phone. Oh, I've got Zuber in my phone. It's just Zuber, 206, blah, 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 right? But it's not connected to the contract where I've got the property address of the house that they bought or the house that they sold. And I've got none of the email communication that came from email. And then the fourth is some form of social media, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, something, right? Okay,
Got it.
So we got about 4 sources, say 2,500 names. Why do people struggle to get all that stuff wrestled together? Because getting information out of each one of those 4 sources requires 4 different steps. And when you do spit it out and put it on some sort of spreadsheet, it's all formatted differently. And as simple simple as that is, if you have music, my favorite example is the area code, right? Because you can have an area code that's just a series of digits. You can have a phone number, excuse me, that's 10 digits. You can have a phone number that's 10 digits separated by dashes, 907 dash. You can have every area code that's parentheses, 907 parentheses, blah, blah, blah. If you try and put the different formats together and then upload it into most CRMs, the CRM it doesn't know how to handle it. You have to get that basic formatting down. Now, we've developed some software to help us do that a little bit more quickly, but a lot of it's just manual, like type on the computer, get stuff organized. And if you're a realtor that's trying to manage an open house or host an event or write a contract or deal with clients, you don't have time to sit around and do all that stuff. And that's why it doesn't get done. That's why, you know, you're sitting in the car and you're looking for the phone number and you pick up the phone, you call the assistant, you say, "Hey, Minnie, give me Zuber's phone number. I can't find it. Where the hell, where'd that thing go?" And that's what we've all been there, right? Well, you know, and heaven forbid, that's if you've got it in the computer. If you are like me, it was written on the back of the open house flyer or the corner of the piece of paper that you tore off of something and stuck in your wallet, stuck in your phone, stapled to something, taped to something. It's the sticky note. And we can only deal with electronic information, right? For the realtor that's starting with the information just on written on pen and paper, getting that put into one place takes time. And it's not that it's hard work, but because I think it's also because it's so, we know that it's easy to put off. I can just get to that, right? I'll get to it later. You know, I'll do that over Thanksgiving break. I'll quote, get my database organized over Christmas break. Well, you know, you go to the beach, you go sledding, you have fun, you eat turkey, drink whatever you're going to drink. And who in the world wants to monkey around with their database? Nobody does. Nobody does. So you gotta. So it's so easy to do that. It's perversely easy to put off. But then it becomes that, you know, a small problem becomes a big problem because now you got 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 names that you have to answer the question: does my area code need a parentheses? And realtors say, no, forget that, man. I got other stuff to do with my time. So it gets kicked, you know, gets kicked further down the road, until that moment. And we see our clients at that moment, you know, where they kind of sit up and they say, oh, shoot, now I got a big problem. We're working with a client right now that is roughly 5 or 6 data sources, 31,000 unconsolidated records. That's now that's massive, right? Now you got a lot of work to do, and that's pushing our team, and we're in the business of it. So
yeah, isn't that interesting though? It's like so as coaches, we know how difficult it is to organize a database that hasn't been necessarily organized over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long it's been, right?
100%.
I think is just crazy is that people that are building teams, why would you ever allow an agent into your organization without having it organized first, right? Your number one value proposition should be, we're going to get you organized before you ever start so that you don't have to deal with the same headaches and the same nightmares that we've experienced over the past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever that might be. Shouldn't that be their first in growing their business?
100%. I mean, I think there are two things in there. So number one, if you're talking about growing and building a team, I personally believe, this is just my personal opinion, but I personally believe there's very little to be gained other than raw sales talent if you don't require someone to bring in names into the organization. Because part of the value proposition of your team should be that you are helping them squeeze the juice out of the limes that they got, right? If you've got systems and processes in place, you should be able to take an agent or take a potential agent, take a new team member, and take the relationships that they've already got and turn those into real estate transactions, period, the end. So if somebody comes to you and says, well, I don't have a database, you say, all right, well, here are the 3 ways you might think about putting it together: phone, social media, whatever you're using for email. And they say, I literally just crawled out from underneath a rock. I don't know another human being. Well, okay, we're not a good fit in business, because part of what you should be.
You don't know another human being, and you're about to get into the relationship business. That's interesting.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Show me that you've at least figured out how to talk to people. Show me that you don't have to like hanging around with people. You don't have to be, this isn't about being social or being antisocial. Can you go into you are going into a relationship-based business, a people-oriented business, and you're telling me that for the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of your life, you've done nothing to collect relationships? Well, that's just foolish. So number one, come to the front door of the team, right? Start with the team. I don't care how many it is, but 100, 150, 250 people, and then put
your wedding list together.
Get your wedding list together. Graduation list, grandma's Christmas card list, whatever it is. And if you don't know that, there are lots of ways. One of the games we play, right, is the vendor game, right? Identify somebody who has a job, identify two jobs for each letter of the alphabet, 2 people who have that job in your community. There's 104 people. Day one, you could build a database of 104 people like that. Oh, by the way, having that vendor list is also going to help the other clients that you work with. Anyway, that's an aside. But
so the people that are listening, walk us through what that actually means.
Okay, so the vendor game starts. There's 26 letters of the alphabet, right? Identify 2 jobs that begin with each letter. Okay. Here's the thing. They don't all have to be real estate related. In fact, your vendor list is going to be more informative and more entertaining if it's not. So I'm looking for an acupuncturist and an accountant. I'm looking for a plumber, a painter, and a philosopher, right? Sorry, I gave you 3. I'm looking whatever. And Q is hard. So I don't know, forget Q. Okay. But identify Z. I'm looking for a zookeeper. And I'm looking for somebody named Zuber. Not it.
I love
so you identify 2 jobs or more for each letter of the alphabet. Then go to social media, go to the phone book, go to the other people in your office, go stand on the street corner. I don't care. Identify 2 businesses or 2 agencies that do that thing, that have that job. 2 people, I need 2 zoologists, I need 2 Zubers, I need 2 philosophers, I need 2 accountants, right? And then you pick up the phone and you call them. Hi, I hear you're a great zoologist. A number of people in my office said so. I'm just curious, first of all, are you taking on new clients? Who says no? You're going to 100% yes, right? Salespeople all want to be told yes. Okay, here you go. First opportunity to get told yes at 8 o'clock in the morning. Are you taking on new clients? Yes, my zoology practice is really busy, but we're always looking for new clients. That is fantastic, I say, because I often have folks who need a zoologist. Secondly, can you tell me anything about your business that would help me refer potential clients to you? Certain areas of town that you cover, certain animals that you treat, certain whatever. Do you have any discounts? Do you go to the west side of town? Do you go to the south side of town? Yes, no, blah, blah, blah. But the conversation continues from there. Fantastic, because I want to do a great job of referring clients to you, right? Because as I mentioned, I own a real estate company, and we often have need for plumbers, painters, zoologists, right? But here's the thing: as you can imagine, I would never refer somebody to a person that I've not met, and you probably feel the same. Could I swing by your shop tomorrow morning at 9? Just put a name to a voice to a face. Do you have 5 minutes for a quick chat tomorrow? Or is Thursday better? Whatever,
Love it.
doesn't matter. You show up at the office, bring your card, some people will go to the extent of bringing donuts or whatever. I mean, you get 104 people, that's a lot of donuts to bring, but you're making a connection, right? And my favorite close on this conversation is always, here's the thing. I bet that over the course of the next 12 months, I'm going to have the need for to send out at least 4 or 5 referrals to a great painter like you. If I told you that I could give you a 5-to-1 return on an investment, would that be a fair deal? Do you think that'd be a good return on your money, 5-to-1?
Sure. Great.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to anticipate that I'm going to send you at least 4 or 5 referrals over the next 12 months. All I would ask is that you send me back the name of one client who might need to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in real estate. There's your 5-to-1 return on investment. Does that seem fair?
Absolutely. Love it.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I wouldn't be good at my job, and I'm very good at my job, but I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't ask, do you happen to know anybody now who might be looking to buy a house? Right.
That's awesome, man.
You're going to get the thing is, people expect that the painter, the zoologist, the accountant is going to send them their clients, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it. We act as if this is a business to business relationship, but what you're doing when you're putting your vendor book together is creating a business to consumer relationship. The person they're going to refer to you is them, because you've been now in their world. You've called, you've added them to your database, you've stayed in touch, you've sent them business. You have, I mean, it is handy to have painters and plumbers and electricians and things in a book, right? Your clients will appreciate it. They will appreciate it. And nobody's going to go to the plumber and say, I'm looking for a realtor, right? In the same way that the people will come to us as realtors and need help with plumbers. That's a more logical flow. But the plumber will be the one whose name you will be in. They will be seeing your name, and when they have a need to buy a house, when their daughter needs to buy a house, when their mother needs to sell their house, you will be the one that they call. So there's 104 names right away. Now, going back to the team, if you're hiring people that don't have a database, have them start with the vendor book. And then, oh, by the way, your graduation list, your mailing list, your Christmas card list, your wedding, whatever it is, get all of those people now into one spot, format them, get them into some sort of CRM, some sort of software that helps you stay in front of them, and then talk to them consistently. It's really just that simple. Yeah,
that's simple.
It's that simple.
Take your wedding list and or your whatever party list or whatever. That's number one, and then we're also going to create a vendor list. You do those two things. So let's just play this out. Let's say Philip, that you have 200 person. You stay focused and intentional. There's 200 people in your quote unquote wedding list, anniversary list, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And then you go out and build this 104 person vendor list, right?
Vendor list. Yep.
If people just would do that, just what you just walked us, what can you expect as a return?
Okay.
How many pieces of business that you will extract by just focusing on your wedding list, and your vendor list.
And your vendor list. I think your first target is 10% conversion, right? So if you had the wedding list and the vendor list, if you had 300 people, and then you communicate with them systematically. Let me be really clear about what I mean when I say systematically. It's 5 numbers: 4, 2, 26, 4, 12. Okay. 4 calls a year, 2 events a year, 26 emails a year, 4 things, items of value, whatever. Could be the newsletter, could be the Pi Day giveaway, what could be the birthday card, could be the anniversary card. 4 calls, 2 events, 26 emails, 4 things, 12 text messages. I've got some specific ideas on what works for each one of those. But if you communicate, that gives you roughly 48 touches a year. So if you're in front of 300 people once a week, roughly once a week, consistently, like a metronome, your first number is 10% conversion. That should be 30 deals. If you are like a metronome, are you having 4 conversations? Are you hosting 2 events? Are you sending email that either makes them laugh or tells them something about real estate? Are you sending them a text message that encourages a response? Just start there. Now in MREA, Gary said we should be aiming for 12 to 2. For every 12 people, we should expect 2 transactions. That's 16.7% conversion. I think right now there's so much competition for eyeballs and time and attention that getting to 17% conversion, 16.7% conversion, it can be hard. And it's certainly harder to maintain 16.7% conversion as your database gets bigger and the relationships get weaker. But I coach a number of teams that are averaging 15, 16, 18% conversion, just simply running that play. And they've got massive databases. We're talking hundreds of deals a year. Now that requires more time, more attention, more manpower. But if the first step is 10% conversion, you should get 10% conversion, and that's the first step.
Absolutely. Right there. Let's get our wedding list and let's get our vendor list. And in exchange, at a $10,000 average commission rate, we can expect $300,000 by just focusing on those 2 things right out of the gate.
Yep, 100%.
So you need to be memorable. You need to set yourself apart. I get it, but consistency and the consistent communication on a weekly basis is what matters most, right? And then making sure that you're having the actual conversation, not doing everything, because that's a mistake I see. You're doing everything that you possibly can to avoid the conversation.
Conversation.
If you're in a real estate business and you're in a relationship business, you need to stop avoiding the conversation and start having it in order to compound your investment.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of that other stuff, put the calls aside for a moment, right? All the text, all the email, all the event, all of that kind of stuff. This is kind of a weird analogy, but it's all of that stuff functions like watering the flower bed before you pull the weeds, right? It's background. It helps. It doesn't do the work. The work is the conversation, right? I stole this from you in discussion we had a year or 2 ago, right? But there is no conversion without conversation.
Right. We're not in this industry, right? There's many times that you can convert many businesses without having a physical conversation. They're endless. This just isn't one of them. Real estate industry is not one of them. You don't buy houses without having a conversation with somebody. It's really that simple.
It is just that simple. Get good at having conversations and you will experience greater success, period.
Amen to that. Holy smokes. Anything else? Anything else you want to show about database and relationships?
I mean, no, I appreciate the opportunity, but we wildly overcomplicate what this business is about. It's about having conversations with people. so that you can figure out what they need, so that you can deliver what they need, hopefully even better than they imagine the experience will be, right? When they need it. But our job, when they need it, we can't make someone buy a house. This is not going to be an impulse buy. This is not the Snickers bar at the grocery store. They're going to be thinking about this for months or years in advance of when they make a transaction. Our job is to be omnipresent in their life so that when they have that need, when that life change, which causes them to make a move, comes up, as inevitably will, they think of us first because we were just there a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Or
yeah. Be top of mind when it matters.
Be top of mind when it matters. Yeah, be top of mind when it matters. And our job building the database is the only way, as I see it, for you to be top of mind when it matters. We have to be communicating with them. They will not be communicating with us, on a weekly basis in the 7 years between their house purchase and their house sale. We have to be communicating with them. The database is the tool that allows us to do that with more people easier.
Yeah. I love this. This has been awesome. Let's just transition a little bit, Philip, and learn a little bit more about you. Will that be all right?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Any TV show or movie series or anything like that you're currently streaming?
Streaming, no, probably not streaming, but reading. And so one of the things I read obsessively is the series of books by Patrick O'Brien, the Master and Commander series. Number one, I kind of they take place in the early 1800s, British naval history. You don't have to like boats. You don't have to like sailing. You don't have to like the ocean, and I like all of those things, but you don't have to get a ton out of these books. So start with Master and Commander. And what I mean when I say get a ton out of them, I think this is the finest collection of novels that describe interpersonal relationships, team building, how to understand people, and how to build strong and lasting and powerful friendships that I've ever read. So if you don't like boats, I just really encourage that. Yeah. And I just read them. There's 20 books in the series, and I just read them 1 through 20, and then I start over again. I can usually get through the whole series in a year, and I've been doing this for decades. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
So I was just about to ask, what book has made the biggest impact on your career? But it sounds like it's this book that's done it. Is that right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, I think I love a lot of for those folks who might know me outside, know I read a lot. I really enjoy that, but I think there's so much we can learn from great novelists who capture the human experience, and we talked about it a lot already. This is a human business. This is a human relationship business. This is a conversation business, and business books, while interesting and theoretical, can sometimes lack that human dimension. And I think we can gain a lot by reading more novels.
Wow. All right. Well, how about is there a specific business person, or, well, let's just call it human being? Is there a specific human being that you study?
There are a couple that I really admire. Okay. One, he's very common, very popular, Tim Ferriss, right? Tim does a lot of good work, and it's because Tim puts in the work. In his interviews, you can tell he's not winging it. He's done his research. He's prepared for the conversation. And I really respect and admire the degree to which he shows up ready to dig deeply into someone's backstory. Now, we learn interesting things about the other person and what they've done in their trials and their tribulations that are always interesting, right? I mean, that's good stuff. But I admire Tim's willingness to do the hard work. I have this image of him kind of, sitting in front of the computer with the papers spread all over the desk, on the table, as he's thinking about the questions that he's going to ask in an interview. I think that comes out a lot. I think that's really interesting. I think, there are other folks, other books that have influenced me. Atomic Habits and the Power of Habit, James Clear and Charles Duhigg, are absolutely there, because I think that if we can adopt powerful habits, just like building a database, this is the way I kind of think about it, right? That the database takes away from us the pressure of having to think about who to call, because we just have a system, we have a structure around it. So too does habit, right, in our own lives. For me personally, I think sometimes I've looked at habit being negative. Well, if you turn it inside out, a habit, like, just do the same thing over and over again, right? Doesn't that get boring? Well, no, the habit allows you to know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, so that you don't have to put your conscious mind towards what's the next thing. You can dedicate your time to being creative and thoughtful, because you're going to get up at 5 a.m. Why? Because that's just the time you get up, right? It's a habit. But I don't have to think about when I'm going to get up. I don't have to think about what I'm going to go to, when I'm going to go to bed. Don't have to think about, am I going to exercise or am I not going to exercise? Yeah, I am, because it's a habit, so that I can then spend my time working on other stuff. So.
All right, Philip, that's great. So if you could go back to when you were 20 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
Number one, build your database earlier. If you're going to get into this business, build your database earlier. For the love of Mike, start earlier. The second thing I would say is fail faster. Fail more often, because you're not going to think your way through a problem. You're not going to think to the solution. You have to do stuff. You have to experiment with stuff, right? It's the Thomas Edison, discover 1,000 ways that a light bulb doesn't work, right? Fail more often and fail more quickly, and be okay with that. I think that would be after building the database, the second thing I would tell my 20-year-old self is fail more often and fail faster.
Make mistakes. Go make them quick.
Make mistakes. Yeah. Learn from your mistakes. Yeah. Make them and move on.
All right. Well, if you could pick any other profession then outside of real estate for you to be a wildly successful person, what would it be, Philip?
When I was growing up, I really wanted to be a chef. I really wanted to cook, because to me, I think that was the perfect combination of unlimited creativity, right? I could create, there were absolutely no limits on what you could cook. And then if you could figure out a way to turn that into a system, then you could cook it again and again and again and again, right? It was this beautiful combination of structure and clarity and creativity and freedom. So I think number one, I would be a chef. Number two, if I could just be an explorer, whatever that means, I think that would be amazing, right? Just to hop on a boat, ride a horse, hop on a motorcycle. I don't care the method of how we get there. Let's just go see what's over the edge of the map, right? That's I'm way more interested in the edge of the map than the center of the map, right? And so it's the what's over there.
That's right. All right. If you're not looking on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
You're taking too much space. Exactly. Go look over the edge. There's good stuff over there. So I would have been a chef, or I would have been an explorer if I could.
All right. Well, Philip, this has been awesome. I want to thank you again.
My pleasure entirely. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. And a special thank you to our sponsor, ClarityNOW. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to get in the trenches with top real estate business owners who are willing and who are winning and willing to share their powerful lesson. Been great, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the time.